Okay, good evening. Welcome to SJAM Boxing. We are great to have along Shane Watson today from SJAM Boxing. Shane, cheers for giving us your time. Much appreciated.
Yeah, great to have me on, man. Thanks for having me on.
No bother, no bother. So what we're going to do today, Shane, we're going to talk a bit about you. Then we're going to talk about SJAM and what you're up
Yeah,
to. And then it's only right that we finish off with a bit of Tyson Fury versus AJ chat.
yeah.
So, as you know, Last Bell Boxing, we go live Thursday nights at 9 o'clock, and we have had a few questions sent in from some of the viewers. So that's my little
Yeah.
disclaimer. Little
Ask me
disclaimer.
anything you want. Ask me anything you want, and I'll answer it.
Yeah.
Ask
So
me.
let's start off with yourself. So, how did you? Obviously, I can see from your resume that you've done quite a few different things, including a bit of a stint at Boxing Social. You launched your own channel called PSB Sports.
Yeah.
So you've done quite a few things during university.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how you got involved with SJAM.
So basically, what happened is, when I went to Hertfordshire University, and I always had a big passion for boxing. I've had a few white collar and unlicensed fights myself.
I got off.
Oh yeah, I lost one. Don't worry, I lost one 1-9.
I thought you glossed over that a bit quickly, Shane. Let's carry
No,
on.
no. It's not a good foot to start on here, is it? But yeah. I've always had a deep passion for boxing ever since I was a kid. Anyway, I've always been a massive boxing fan, a hardcore boxing fan. Went to university, studied journalism, media, did a master's in events management, and then I met a mate at university called Pav, who's probably still my best friend today, actually. And we decided to launch a YouTube channel together called PSB Sports. And when we launched that, we interviewed every fighter around the world. We interviewed Conor McGregor on there, Dana White, Floyd Mayweather, Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, Lennox Lewis, everyone on there. And we got quite a good reputation out of it and a lot of people liked us because we were young lads who just loved boxing and went around the world to go and talk about it. Then
not a bad gig, is it?
No, it's not bad, man. You know what? I couldn't believe how accessible boxing was. It's crazy. I remember just walking up to a press conference, and then next minute I'm interviewing Tyson Fury, and I'm just a kid he's just a random kid off the street. Do you know what I mean? It was crazy. No other sports like it, and I have to respect the sport for that, to be honest, because it gave us a lot of unbelievable opportunities and memories that I would take with me forever. But then I got approached by Boxing Social. They offered me some very good money to work for them, which I couldn't turn down because when I was at PSP Sports, it was all of my own money. Yeah. And while you're at university, as anyone would know, you don't usually have loads of money. So I thought I have to take an opportunity here, and also it could put me onto a bigger platform. So I did that. Worked at Boxing Social for, I don't know, maybe about a year. I did the gig for when Curtis Woodhouse went to fight John Wayne Hibbert, and then Scott Westcott sadly passed away on the undercard.
Yeah.
And I was actually the last person to ever speak to Scott Westcott, because I interviewed him just after the fight, and that's when the tragedy had happened. And then I took a bit of time out of boxing after that because it was quite an emotional thing to go through at the time. And then I decided I wasn't really into doing journalism anymore because it was getting quite repetitive. And I had a lot of bad press from the Scott Westcott situation. I was on the front page of the Sun newspaper, Daily Mail. I was on the front page of the Mirror for about a month. Honestly, it went on for a long time. I was on the ITV News and everything. Then I went into boxing, and then I met Adam and Sam, who own SJAM Boxing, they're the co-founders. And they were really keen about getting me on board because I was a young man and knew the sport inside out. I had a good reputation, got on with everyone, never fell out of anyone or whatnot. And they were just eager to get me on, and they knew that I knew how to run a business from before. They knew that I was passionate about the sport, I was ambitious. And it just came on board then, and now I do a lot of stuff there for SJAM. And I'm just under Sam and Adam now. So
one observation from just a normal boxing fan is the work ethic of SJAM. It's clear to see that both Sam, yourself, absolutely, and Adam, absolutely work your arse off, don't you, for your fighters? You know.
Yeah, the thing is, your fighters. So you know what's really, really rewarding, right? So maybe more so when you're managing someone than being a promoter. So fighters, when they agree for you to manage them, they're putting a lot of trust in you. These managers, you negotiate their contracts, you negotiate their sponsorship. You're basically in charge of their life in a way. And for them to choose you, when you get people like Joe Joyce, who any manager in the world would want to manage, And the fact that he puts his trust and faith in you, and then you've not got him, obviously you've got Leroy Richards and you've got everyone in the team. I'm just using Joe as an example.
Yeah.
It just makes you want to do everything you can for them. And that's what we do. We make sure we can do anything. We do anything, everything for them. And this is outside of boxing as well. Management, SJAM as a management company goes way outside of boxing. We help them with their day-to-day lives, any problems that they have in their life, anything they need done. We become a family. We're a big family here, and that's what we are. I think that's the best way to describe it. We're all very close friends. We all FaceTime every day. We all make sure everyone's okay. Everyone's knows when a fight day is. Make sure they're feeling comfortable with what's going on, and they understand what's going on, which is the most important thing. And you know what? You say work ethic. Yeah, I guess there is a really big work ethic. When you live and love it that much, it doesn't feel like you're working hard. I wake up every day excited about what to do for the rest of the day. So that way it never feels like work. As much as it is hard work, it's the best way to work hard is when it doesn't feel like it's work. Because then you're accidentally, should I say, working hard.
Yeah.
Which is good like that. Like, for example, I must have started work the other day. I always start around 9 or about 8:30, 9. And then, what's happened there? But, and then 8:30, 9. And then, sometimes we finish at 9 or 10, but I swear to you, the day goes like that because it just goes so quick and it's so fun. Like, but yeah, it's good work ethic, and everyone pulls their weight and everyone works very hard. But when you're working for like people that you genuinely really care about and you love to do it, it doesn't feel like you are. I'm just being honest. It just really doesn't feel like I actually do work hard.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to say this because I believe Sam Jones is from Derby. Is that right?
Yeah, he's a Derby man. Yeah.
Well, a couple of us are from Nottingham. I'm from Nottingham. So a mate of mine.
He's not a Nottingham Forest fan. I can tell you that.
Luckily, I'm not a Forest fan, but the guy on the channel called Andy is a big Forest fan. So I love it because I think Sam Jones is brilliant, and I think he's a fresher breath air to the British boxing scene because he puts it up him to be honest, Shane. I like the way you don't give him a microphone, he'll sell his fighter, and I love his passion. I just think he's top draw. And if we ever get him on this channel, I'd love him to wear a Derby shirt. That would
No, we'll get money someday. Definitely.
Yeah, that'd be great. That'd be great. So just moving on to the stable, the fighters that you've got at the minute then. The one that Eddie Hearn keeps banging on about is Florian Marku. He's got some very big plans for Florian, hasn't he? He's even talking about going to Albania with him, where obviously he's a massive star in Albania, isn't he? You know?
Honestly, when I say massive star, like the only way I can compare it to is, like when the England team come home from like a World Cup of Euros and they've done well and there's like thousands of fans waiting at the airport. That is Florian, but like without going to a World Cup. Like genuinely in Albania, you can't go anywhere. It gets flooded everywhere. Even in England, he gets it, let alone in Albania. And he just gets chased everywhere. Even the DMs I get on my Instagram off random Albanian. And it's great, by the way. It's great to get behind their own, and it makes Florian's life a lot easier. It gets Florian on a stage and a platform that he wouldn't be on if he didn't have that backing. So, and it gives Florian a chance to get in big fights early doors.
He's a good talker, isn't he? He's a good talker, Shane, isn't he? He knows how to sell a fight. He's coming along well with his language as well, isn't he? You know?
He believes in himself, and that's what it is with him. Where he's come from a very horrible, like dark place growing up. He didn't have life easy growing up, is probably the fairest way to say. Yeah. And what he's been through, and then also what he's done in other combat sports and as well, by the way, what he's done in MMA. Like, he's got every right to feel confident in his ability, and he's just a very tough, strong man as well. And like mentally, he doesn't believe that anyone could beat him. I swear to God, the guy going to fight with AJ, and he'd believe he'd come out on top. That's just his mindset. Yeah. And Florian's going to go a long way in this sport because you know what? He taught us in the Ryan and Charlton fight that he can listen to instructions rather than get involved in a fight that he doesn't have to be in. And he showed he could box in that fight as well. A lot of people didn't think Florian could box. They just thought he was a cage fighter in a boxing ring and whatnot. And even then, he lost a little bit of composure. So he's still a lot to learn. That's how he got dropped by Ryan and Charlton. Yeah. But with Florian, you got to remember, he didn't have a world-class amateur background or anything like that. He's learning on the job, but he's learning rapidly. I've seen him spar rounds with Kell Brook. He held his own. I've seen him spar rounds with Avanesian. He holds his own. I've seen him spar rounds of Ahara Davis, which I think he got the better of and whatnot. And so it just shows already that early in his career, if he's come behind himself at that level already, where he can be in time. Do you know what I mean? So, and actually, most of the fights he's had, he's been fighting with one hand. he had a broken right hand, and he actually did it against Ryan Charlton again.
Right.
So he had a successful operation on it now, and we're looking at getting him out in July/August.
He's a very exciting fighter to watch because he gives it his all, don't he? There's no back foot, toe to toe war.
Absolutely, no, he gives his all, and that's all you can ask for a fighter. And when I swear to you, right, I've never known, or not I've never known, but to be honest, all of our fighters are very hard trainers. But Florian Marku is absolutely relentless. I swear to God, he gives his all in sparring, and then he'll train for ages afterwards. Like he just literally lives to fight. I swear to God. Like, when they say people were born to fight, he was genuinely one of those people that were born to fight. I don't know what else he would have done if it wasn't for combat sports. I wouldn't even like to think what he'd have done if it wasn't combat sports. But honestly, that guy was born on this planet to fight people, and he's not doing a bad job of it so far. So
no.
Looking forward to Florian Marku is an exciting journey because he's a bit different to our other ones. He's a bit different. You just don't know where it could turn out, because where he's already a superstar in some parts of Europe already, when you've got that fan base after doing not that much in boxing so far, it's crazy where you could take it, because Florian can sell out arenas in New York, he can sell out arenas in London, he can sell out arenas in Albania, he can sell out national stadiums fighting a journeyman in Albania. That's not even a joke. He could sell out stadiums in Greece. He's got massive fan bases in all these places around the world, and massive celebrities get behind him as well, by the way. And it's just, when you've got that, and you obviously the most important bit is actually knowing how to fight as well. You can go a long way, and it can fast track Florian onto bigger places. He hasn't got to build a profile.
Because obviously Eddie Hearn's always looking for new territories, isn't he? Always looking for new territories. So
yeah. And Florian's a great way of doing that, because I don't know what the zone was like in Albania before, but I can't imagine it would be anywhere near as big as it probably is without Florian fighting on it. And it's not just that, like I said, he can sell out arenas in New York. There's a massive Albanian fan, but Albanian fan base around the world. Albania's got population all over the world, so he can sell out arenas anywhere. And it's a really, really exciting journey it's been with Florian. It's one interesting, because I don't even know where it's going to end up. It could end up anywhere. So
that's the exciting part, I guess, from your point of view, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's be honest, the commercial side of it is a bonus. I'm sure.
Yeah. Cool.
So promising.
It makes it a bit more fun, because boxers are never really universally recognised, unless you're the real elite ones like Fury and AJ. Yeah. And I'm even talking about world champions in other divisions are not really that well recognised. But Florian Marku is genuinely will get stopped wherever he goes. If anyone knows where he trains at the gym, I swear to God, there's always people waiting outside and stuff like that, photos and all and stuff like that. And it's just nice to have that, because boxing, there isn't many of that, much like, even at the highest level, there's not. There genuinely isn't. Remember Lucas Brown was WBA regular champion? Not one person in Australia knew who he was. Genuinely. He's more known in London than what he was in Australia. And that's a shame. But people like Florian, who's only had 8 or 9 pro fights, and he's just recognised wherever he goes. And interesting, exciting things. It's good to see fans getting behind one of their own in the most brutal sport there is, because all fighters should get that, really. Yeah.
Fully agree. And then moving on to this weekend's fights, Leroy Richards. I'll be honest with you, that was a virtually punch-perfect performance. And just before you launch into it, Shane, I think some people on social media have been a little bit harsh talking about his punch power already. Let's talk about the sweet signs before we start talking about punch power. I do believe he's got the punch power. I think when he sits down on his shots a little bit more, that will come. He's only young.
Yeah.
So I just wonder what your thoughts were.
The people that say that Billy Joe Saunders can't punch, or that Tyson Fury can't punch. It's such a non-educated thing to say, because I'm not saying that Leroy Richards has got Deontay Wilder punch power. Obviously not. But what I'm saying is the style that he is, move your feet, and stuff. He's not holding his feet and holding his shots. So no one's ever going to be knocking someone flash out like that. Yeah. It's all about learning how to break a fighter down and stuff like that. He's a boxer. Yeah. So he's not coming forward and being relentless. That's not the way that he fights. That's why those style of fighters, they don't ever flush people out cold often, but they can knock people out. Yeah. If Leroy didn't punch, these fighters would walk straight through his punches them, wouldn't they? To land their own. Why don't these fighters want to take 2 or 3 to get their own off? Because he does have respectable power. I've seen him spar with big gloves against British names, yeah. I won't go into who they are, and him really hurt them and rock them and stuff like that, and not want to spar no more and quit sparring, yeah. Believe me, the guy can hit. I'm not saying he's going to be rendering people unconscious with 1 or 2 hits. No, because it's not his style. If he wanted to make that his style, he probably could do that, but it's not the way that Richards fights.
Shane, he doesn't plant his feet. Shane does that, so you know
he doesn't need to. If it comes to a day that he needs to do that, he might do that. But until he needs to, if you're winning a fight very comfortably every round and you're showing an absolute boxing lesson, why are we now taking the risk of holding our feet and potentially getting caught cold? Is this a silly move? You're winning a fight comfortably off of your jab and whatnot. It's like Fury against Klitschko. Why would Fury start holding his feet against Klitschko and play in someone else's hands when you're winning a fight so comfortably in your own style? It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And that's what people need to understand. He barely got caught with a single glove on Saturday night, yeah? So that against an ex-WBA world champion, yeah? So he doesn't need to start holding his feet for whatever reason. Why is he taking punishment for no reason? Listen, boxing's about hitting and not getting hit. That is literally the art of the sport, yeah?
Sweet science.
He hit the whole night whenever he wanted to and didn't get hit. So we'll keep him that way. Until we need to start holding our feet, then we won't be holding our feet.
It's only a small minority on social media, isn't it?
No, I see it. I see it as well. Do you know what it is? Even if Lerone held his feet, yeah, and knocked him out, but got caught with a couple, he would have got criticism for that as well. So you don't really win in these situations anyway. All that matters to us is that Lerone's the European champion. He's improving, and he's improved a lot under Dave Caldwell, and that's massive credit to Dave Caldwell. I've spent a bit of time with him in the camp, and I can see that Lerone's improving a lot, and that's what it's about. I can't ask much more from that. It's progress and getting the W. So, he's really put a better performance on that. So,
where does he go next, Shane?
Well, we're looking at a few options. I think personally, he really keeps talking about the Gabe Brasado fight. That's an interesting fight. Rocky Fielding's another one. That could be a European title defense. Rocky Fielding only got that.
Right in saying Fielding's been giving it a bit of social media banter.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah, saying it was the only belt he hasn't won. We want that. We want a bit of banter. It makes it a bit more interesting, doesn't it? But, you know, Rocky Fielding, we respect him. He's an ex-WBA and whatnot, and he's achieved things in the sport. He's got good wins over John Ryder and whatnot, and Ryan Vera and whatnot. So, yeah, we'd respect Christopher Brass. So, yeah, we'd respect Rocky Fielding. That'd be a good fight for us. But Rocky Fielding, Fudor Chudinov is one that I would like the sound of, because Chudinov is a WBA gold champion. Much I don't really like these international titles, but it's a very high ranking in WBA. And ultimately, Leroy Richards wants to be the WBA world champion, or not just WBA world champion, the world champion.
Yeah.
And I think if he beat Fedor Chudinov, it would put him in a good shot for John Ryder if John Ryder wins the WBA title when he fights for, I think, next month. And Leroy likes that fight with John Ryder. So
he's a tough fighter, Ryder, isn't he?
I really rate and respect John Ryder.
Yeah.
By the way. He's actually one of my favourite fighters to watch. And he's been shafted a few times. I feel quite sorry for him. But, yeah, it'd be a good fight. And it'd be a fight that stylistically I think would suit Leroy a lot. And it'd be a good fight, man. We respect John Ryder a lot, obviously. John Ryder's got his big fight of his own to look at, first of all. So we'll respect that. And I hope he gets a W just because he's a Brit as well. And he's a lovely guy. So that side, I want John Ryder to win. And I think he will win as well. I think he will win. He seems to be getting better every fight, John Ryder.
He does.
And he's definitely a super middleweight. Yes, you can see that he's definitely a lot better at super middleweight than he was at middleweight. But yeah, like Rocky Fielding, Fedor Chudinov, Anthony Durrell, there's no one we'd like, and Gabe Brasado. Any one of those would fight any one of them in a heartbeat. So,
one question that did come in on Saturday night after the card was, would he jump in with Eubank Jr. at middleweight, super middleweight?
Oh my God, we would honestly, if that offer came through now, we would accept it right now. It'd be back replied to within 3 minutes. Leroy Richards absolutely poleaxed Chris Eubank Jr. sparring. I remember it because it was when I used to interview Leroy, because I've been good friends with Leroy for a long time. Some years back, I think Leroy was like 3 or 4-0 at the time. They asked him to come down to spar Eubank because Eubank was about to fight Tommy Langford.
Yep.
And which he then pulled out of after Leroy poleaxed him. And he was actually very disrespectful and rude to Leroy after the fight, because he said to Leroy that you're never going to make it anywhere in the sport and whatnot. And that's not something, as a name, which Chris Eubank obviously has always been, that you say to someone who's a prospect coming up. Even if you're upset that they've got the better of you in sparring, or if maybe you're not having a good day, you're meant to encourage these people to carry on working hard in the sport and do well. Also, if you're paying for sparring, you should want them to be doing a little bit of a job on you. Because why are you going to want to bring someone into sparring who you can just be up? What's the point in that? And Lerrone's never forgot that. And Lerrone's really wants to fight him, definitely. And I think if we can beat an Anthony Durrell, or we can beat a Rosado, or we can beat someone like that, you're only 1 or 2 fights away from getting a name like that. Lerrone's profile after Saturday night is actually more than doubled on social media. So, okay, as much as I think Lerrone would beat him now, I don't think we offer Eubank Jr. enough yet. And so I think in 1 or 2 fights, we could be there. We could definitely be there. But I don't think he'd ever want to fight Leroy Richards, if I'm being honest. It's just a hard night's work for anyone. A southpaw, slick, and I just don't think he ever would. But it'd be a fight that we would absolutely love to make. Absolutely.
And from the boxing public, Lerrone came across really well in that post-fight interview. He came across very.
Think of it.
He came across really well. You know, it was quite humble in his post-fight interview, and he just wants to fight, don't he? It's clear. You know, he just wants to fight. I don't think he cares who it is.
Yeah. Well, do you see what it is with Lerrone? He went through long periods of his time being inactive.
Yeah.
And it really, really has wound him up over the time, and he just wants to fight now. Now he's got a great deal. He's active, and he just wants to fight. I think he enjoys being on this stage. He enjoys holding the European title. He enjoys winning the British and Commonwealth, WBO International, WBO European, and the European title. He loves fighting on these stages. He wants to fight the big names. He wants to fight the hard fights. He doesn't mind going to people's backyards to fight them and beat them as well. He beat Lance Clark in Birmingham and whatnot. You know, like he doesn't mind going to America to fight these American fighters. He'll go anywhere, and it won't bother him. His mindset is incredible.
I think he's got a true potential to be a massive fan favourite in the UK. I really do. I think he's got this. His stock is amazing.
A lot of the time, Lerrone doesn't actually act like the Lerrone that he is. Because he's very humble, he's very laid back, and he just wants to box. He's not into all his trash talk and stuff like that. But Lerrone's actually got a really fun side to him as well. And you saw a little bit in the post-fight interview when he started singing about his son and stuff like that, and you're having a laugh last week. Yeah, that's a bit more of the fun Lerrone that we all see every day. And I think as time goes on now, you'll start to see a bit more of that, because there's a lot of character and a lot of personality behind Lerrone. Yeah. Generally one of the funniest / weirdest people I've ever met. But like he's just he's got a lot of good personality, and I think more as time goes on, you'll see a lot more of Lerrone in that way, really? Which is good, obviously, which everyone will see.
Correct. Yeah. The next fight was Solomon Dakras. I know he had to go with he had to go about the guy's head being like steel or something, didn't he? After the fight, he mentioned that the guy's head was really tough when he was punching it. I believe it was said on the way out the ring. Yeah. So I thought that was a good performance. Obviously, very early on in his boxing career at the minute, isn't it? But he's shown a lot of potential. So is it just a case of steadily building Solomon up through the levels in boxing at the British level?
Well, I mean, so Sol's coming from basically a very big, strong amateur background. And he's fought all over the world, fought in WSB, done tons of rounds of Anthony Joshua, tons of rounds of Joe Joyce, tons of rounds of loads and loads of other fighters as well. And genuinely a very, very good fighter. I'm really, really excited about. He's a little bit hard on himself in his performance, only because he didn't get the stoppage. Obviously beat Manev up. Manev apparently has a head made of steel by the looks of it. But fair play to him.
I saw the IFL interview where he was having a bit of a go, wasn't he, with Sam about can you get me someone a bit softer in the head, softer around the head?
But you will see, you know what is Sol was not used to fighting people like that. Sol was used to fighting top tier opposition. And when you bring him down levels to fight someone like Manev, and that's not disrespectful to Manev, by the way. I don't ever want to have a scrap with Manev either, to be honest. But I think it almost brings down that level as well. So I think with Sol, the plan is just to step him up and move him up fairly quick. He wanted to fight Chris Lovejoy on his debut, and that was what we actually tried to do. Not that was probably a step up, because Manev probably would have beaten Chris Lovejoy, to be honest. But it's just, Yeah, I would love to. I think we need to make Soul step up quite quickly because, like I said, where he's fought at much higher level opposition than what he's fighting now, we need to keep moving him up rather than bringing him down. And then, that, as much as it's good to get the 6th round in, by the way, and I'm not disputing that, but I think he will look a lot better against someone that's coming to win. So you could fight like Southern area level fighters. I'm not saying we're going to jump onto the British level straight away or Commonwealth. Whatever, but you can fight guys that are going to come and give it a bit of a go, and they're the ones that you're going to knock out cold, not the ones that just tuck up and hold the whole time. You know what I mean? So we meant to fight Danny Whittaker on our debut, and Danny Whittaker's got a couple of good wins and whatnot, and he would have come and gave it a go. So that's what we were meant to do, but I don't know why that didn't happen in the end. But yeah, we ended up fighting Manev.
Right, and then last on your stable has got to be the juggernaut. So Mr. Joe Joyce, who
absolutely Joe Joyce.
Yeah, the lads on Last Bell Boxing will tell you, I don't care who tells me anything other. Joe Joyce, and I'll put it on camera now, will absolutely walk through Usyk every day of the week. I don't care if Usyk keeps posting these Twitter shots of the scales, what he keeps doing, things like that. Joe Joyce is just too big, and that jab will absolutely jab his head off all day long, is my humble opinion.
You know what? With the whole Usyk situation, we're in a bit of a sticky patch for that as of last night, even more so.
Yeah.
You know what? We respect Usyk a lot. We respect Usyk incredible, man, because why wouldn't you? Someone that's achieved what he's done as an amateur, what he's done as a professional, fighting all these fighters in their backyard, back to back as well, by the way. It's almost unheard of, isn't it? I think it is actually unheard of. But I feel a bit bad for Joe at the moment because he coming off such a big win, getting right momentum, being such a big underdog as well, and done it in pretty good fashion.
Nobody gave him a chance, by the way, did he, Shane? Nobody gave him a chance in that.
Yeah, they didn't. A lot, 95% of the boxing public, or just the sporting public, is we didn't give him a chance. And they were quite disrespectful towards Joe Joyce, a guy that's done everything he's done for Great Britain as an amateur. And what he's done as a professional as well, even before that with Brian Jennings and whatnot, and being the fastest ever Commonwealth heavyweight champion in history. I just felt like everyone completely wrote him off. And I just think now we have people believing him a bit more. But even a lot of people are still writing him off for the Usyk fight. And that's fair enough because Usyk's achieved an incredible amount in this sport, and that's fine. I mean,
Shane, I respect Usyk, Shane. I really do. And obviously, cruiserweight, he cleaned up, and what he done in the amateur game, etc., etc. It's not that I don't respect him. I just think styles make fights.
Oh yeah, no, I agree with you. I absolutely believe that Joe Joyce goes straight through within about 8 rounds, but I just don't know what's going on with the whole. No. We've talked to Alexander Krasik and whatnot. They don't seem too eager to fight Joe Joyce, and that probably says a lot in itself. Because Joe Joyce is a hard night fight for anyone, even if it's not Usyk. If it's anyone in that division, they're not having an easy night with Joe Joyce, and they all know that because they've all done rounds with Joe Joyce, and that's why none of them ever want to fight Joe Joyce. I mean, don't hear him get mentioned in interviews, don't hear anyone saying anything about him, because they all know he's hell in there. You know, he ain't going to budge, and he's going to be in your face for 12 rounds at the bare minimum.
Some very harsh comments made about Joe Joyce, boxing style, isn't he, from time to time as well? Yeah. You know, which is
Listen, Joe Joyce, I'm not saying this is good, because people sometimes jump on the bandwagon with this, but even George Foreman said it. He's got a very similar style to him, and George Foreman done all right in boxing, isn't he? You know, Joe, you don't win what should have been an Olympic gold medal, and all the other medals he's won as an amateur if your guy can't box, right? Yeah. And he showed he's got a jab as well. Yeah, he might not be the fastest fighter in the world, but it's not always about it. He's a heavyweight. Like, he doesn't have to have lightning fast hands. He makes his style work for him, and that's why he's got as far as he's got. And believe me, he can get a lot further than where he's got. He's got this far in such a small amount of fights as well. He deserves a lot of credit. I don't remember seeing all these other elite fighters fighting these people this early on if they didn't. And Joe Joyce will genuinely, and I swear to God, I'm not even joking when I say this, he will fight anyone. He will fight anyone. He will fight Deontay Wilder. He would fight Andy Joshua. He would fight Tyson Fury. He would fight Dylan White. He would fight Derek Chisora. He would fight Joseph Parker. He would fight anyone. He would fight Luis Ortiz. He would fight anyone. But the only problem is trying to get people to fight him, and that says a lot. It's been people that have been offered substantial amounts of money, and they don't want to fight him. Some of the price tags that some fighters have put on fights to fight Joe Joyce is honestly mind blowing. Like, it's just pricing themselves out because they know that money's never been there. And you know what? Joe Joyce's time coming. He'll have a good fight announced for him soon, but we have to wait.
I was going to ask that, Shane, without going into detail, because I don't want the detail, but I'm sure you've got a plan B in mind. Should things
plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D, and if those ones fall through, we're gonna have to make up a plan E. But hopefully that doesn't happen. But that's the thing. You've always got to have different plans because you know, boxing is the most craziest of all sports, as we've seen last night. 1 minute we thought we were getting one of the best heavyweight fights of all time, and now it was like we don't. And everyone was saying, it was all agreed, there's no way this fight could not happen now. And then before you know it, it's near enough off. So, you know, you've always got to have loads of plans. If you want your fighters to be active and you want your fighters to earn a living, you have to have different plans because things can just mess up all the time, even more so in a pandemic.
Before we launch on to Tyson Fury versus AJ and the situation as we are, I've got one more question that's come in. And again, I'll give you that little disclaimer that this wasn't asked by me. And if you don't want to answer it, don't answer it. The question is, you've got some fighters with Frank Warren and some fighters with Eddie Hearn. Which promoter is the easiest to deal with? Good question.
Well, I did say ask me anything, so I am to blame for this. But I will give you an answer. Basically, you know what it is? They're both great to work with for different reasons. Listen, both you can't really fault promoters that give fighters an incredible platform. And two, are arguably up there in the biggest in the sport as well. And look at what Frank Warren's achieved over 40 years in the sport. It's incredible. And Eddie Hearn's done amazing with the short time that he's been in the sport, which makes it even more impressive. And they both give a great platform to young fighters and to already fighters that are at the top and whatnot. And they're both fairly easy to deal with. I mean, I don't think anyone's easy to deal with because everyone wants the best for whatever they've got to deliver for. We want the best for our fighters. They all want the best for their TV network and whatever, things like that. Do you know what I mean? So, and also the best for their fighters as well. But yeah, so I don't think anyone's essentially easy to deal with because no one should be easy to deal with because you're all passionate about who you work for. I wouldn't say we're essentially easy to deal with. But no one should be easy to deal with. Everyone should be able, you should be able to work with. That's the difference. You should be able to work with them, but you shouldn't be easy to work with. But no, they all do a great job. They both do a great job. And Mick Hennessy does a good job. He's got a lot of shows. He's got one on this weekend. You've got we work with Bob Arum. We've got fighters of top rank. We know and whatnot. Another great outfit to work for and work with. They all do a great job. I haven't got a bad word to say about any of them, to be honest. We don't get on with anyone. It'd be easy to say if we've had feuds in the past, but we haven't. Luckily, we've always got on with everyone. We get on very well with MTK. We've got a partnership agreement with MTK. We got on well with everyone, so it's not really a bad word to say about everyone. Anyone
and I
really.
bet give
you a cool story and be like, this guy's this, he's this. But genuinely, we haven't had that yet. Might do one day, though. If you ask me again in 10 years, it'll probably be a different answer.
Yeah, well, when I saw the question, Shane, I'm not going to lie, I kind of went like that. But,
no, ask me anything. You can ask me anything. I don't want to be one of these people.
I better give a shout out to Jake Maskell while I'm on this video as well. We've had Jake on the show, by the way, Shane, and I know he does a bit of your social media. Yeah. He likes his 5 minutes of fame, so I'll give him a quick shout out.
Yeah.
So
he's a good bloke.
Good lad. Moving on to the Tyson Fury versus AJ Wilder situation. So, what do you think is going to happen, Shane? If you had to put your last pound on it, what happens with the fight? And B,
it's early today. I've been speaking about it pretty much all day, honestly. I hope I'm wrong. I really, really, I don't like being wrong, but this time I'd fucking love to be wrong. I just don't see why Wilder would have got this arbitration on for so long, battled it, won it, to then just say I want a step-aside fee. He's training hard under Malik Scott. It looks like he's got a new flair about him. He's not doing all that weird stuff, making up weird excuses, making weird videos anymore.
Yeah,
it looks like he's probably got a bit of like a revival in his career where he's woke up and was like, yeah, I really want to fight again now. I really want to do what fighters do and just get in there and fight. And sometimes you need that spark again. Maybe it's his new team that have done that for him. But yeah, no, I think that Wilder is going to fight Tyson Fury in the third fight. They've already got the arena booked for July. It just all seems a bit, and then you've got Bob Arum's comment saying we're not giving no step-aside fee. Then I'm hearing that Deontay Wilder wants 14 million step-aside fee, and there's just no chance on earth that Fury would even pay him 30% of that, let alone 14 million. That's a crazy amount of money. That's a crazy amount of money. So, and listen, a contract is a contract. You have to stick to it. This is why contracts are made. So I can't hit out at Johnny Wilder. He's probably thinking, well, hold on a minute. I gave Tyson Fury another opportunity to fight for my belt. Where's my opportunity to fight for my belt? Look, for his belt now. It was agreed. And the reasons why the fight didn't happen is because, number one, COVID hit. Yeah. That's why I got called off in July. Then October, the reason why I got cancelled is because Wilder had a bicep injury. Now, it could have happened in December, but ESPN and Fox didn't want to put it on because of the college football. So, you know, and then Fury said he was going to fight in December against, was it Adric Cabiel, or there's a few other names in there as well. So, really, if we look at it that way, Wilder does deserve another shot because, number one, it's contractually agreed. So, if you sign a contract, you've got to fulfill it. Yeah, that's just the way it is. And other than the bicep injury, you can't blame someone for having a bicep injury. No. After the second fight, Wilder needs to go in there 100% because he can't make any more excuses. If he loses this time against Fury, his time at that level is over. Because no one's going to want to fight someone getting it that hard anyway. So I think Wilder does deserve the third fight. Obviously, as a boxing fan, I would much rather watch Fury against AJ, but this is what contracts are for. And Shelley Finkel and Al Heyman would be doing a terrible job for Deontay Wilder if they didn't make sure that he got the fight that he deserved or the step-aside fee that he wants. So I understand it and everything, but I don't see Deontay Wilder not fighting Tyson Fury in July. I just don't see why you would go through all of that. And also, it tarnishes Deontay Wilder's name as well if the fight doesn't happen. If he doesn't fight against Fury after doing all this, it's just going to make it look like he's in the sport for the wrong reasons, and he doesn't fancy the third fight with Fury.
Can you see a scenario where Tyson gives up the belt?
But that doesn't change anything though, because the contract is to, even if he gives up the belt, he's still going to fight Wilder. Because you still have to fight Wilder. The contract isn't for the belt. It's nothing to do with OBC at all. It's just to fight each other again. So
Sullivan's got no influence in this at all then, really.
No, I mean, I don't know if he can help in an agreement. I mean, he could probably be a good mediator, I would assume, because he'll know both guys very well. I mean, he made sure that Wilder didn't have to fight Mandatory for about 5 years. So, I mean, I'm sure he has a great relationship with Wilder. But, you know, he doesn't have a final say in anything. It's not, even if Fury got stripped to the WC title, let's say done something stupid or whatnot, and got stripped to the belt, he would still have to fight Wilder because the contract is to fight Deontay Wilder. It's not to defend the WBC title. So I'm guessing the best case scenario for you guys would be that the original fight took place, I'm assuming, to then free up Usyk to fight Joyce. Would that be right? Well, yeah, I mean, ideally, Fury and Joshua would fight because obviously, as fans, we actually want to watch that fight as well. We want to find the number one in the division. Also, ideally, that would happen because Joe Joyce could fight Usyk, which would be for the full WBA world title, by the way, because straight after Fury and Joshua fight, they have to fight Usyk within 90 days. Now, it would be a 2 fight clause, so they'd have to rematch anyway. So obviously that can happen, which would then mean that the winner of Joe Joyce against Usyk will be elevated for full WBA world champion. And what that also means is that whoever comes out on top of Fury versus Joshua will then end up fighting Joe Joyce, probably. Or Joe Joyce could fight Dylan White. Or Joe Joyce could fight X, Y, and Z in a division. And if you've got a WBA world title and you're British and whatnot, you're always going to be in big fights. So, and also, it's Joe Joyce's dream is to become world heavyweight champion. That's why he's in the sport. So, obviously, ideally, that's what would happen. But we're fighting against the clock now because listen, it's the 18th of May. Joe last fought in December. We need to get him out again, and we can't keep waiting on everyone else. To be honest, some governing body should have taken more of a stance on this anyway, because it's not fair that the whole division is waiting for one fight to be agreed or not be agreed. Because it's keeping everyone else on pause. It's stopping everyone else earning money. It's stopping everyone else knowing what's going on with them moving forward. And it's not fair. We need to come to a resolution now, whether it's the fight's happening or it's not happening, just so we know, so everyone can plan their next steps and move on with their next steps.
Yeah.
Just so we know what we're doing. This fight's been spoken about for so long, and it's now in the later end of May, and we still don't know what's going on. It's time to put up or shut up, basically, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, Eddie has done an interview today on Matchroom calling it a very strange decision by the courts. I'm not so sure it is when you delve into it, you know?
Yeah.
So it'll be very interesting to see how it plays out. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Because like you said, you can't have Joe Joyce sitting around for another 2 or 3 or 4 months.
That's not going to happen. That's not happening. No. We won't allow it to happen. At the end of the day, our responsibility is to get Joe Joyce in the ring, and we'll do anything to get that done. The annoying thing is, the only reason why we waited so long, if it was anyone else, we wouldn't have done this. But Joe Joyce really, really, really wants to fight Usyk, especially for what's on the table. And he just really believes that he can beat Alexander Usyk and do him well. And we really, really, really want that fight. Otherwise, we wouldn't have held out this long, even now anyway. We'd have gone and done our own plan or move. But the problem is that WBO did order Usyk to fight Joe Joyce. So it makes you feel like the fight's going to happen when it happens, because it's almost like he hasn't got a choice. Because if Usyk doesn't take that fight, he's stripped of his mandatory status. So we would then maybe fight Joseph Parker for the WBA or whatever. So it put us in a really strong position. But now it's just almost like you're left in the dark and the unknown what's going on. So clarity is all we ask for. All we ask for is clarity, really.
Yeah, brilliant. Right then, Shane. So we're 42 minutes in, fella. So I'm going to bring it to an end. Is there anything else you want to discuss before we bring the video to an end? I really appreciate it.
All I'm going to say is thanks for tuning in, guys. It's been a pleasure to chat. It's been a pleasure to ask some questions and whatnot. We finally got there with it, didn't we? We finally got there now. Good little show you've done there. It's a good show. And
yeah, I appreciate that.
Hopefully get to see.
Something a bit different, Shane. We're not a podcast. We don't pretend to be. We do a few pre-records like this one, but the main show is we go live with boxing fans, similar to a football phone-in style show, where we just debate boxing, and it gives fans a platform to come on and debate with each other, which I think is good. So what I'll hold you to is when the Joyce situation is resolved, I'll get you back on and we can have a chat about it. Is that okay?
Yeah, anytime.
Yeah, really appreciate that.
We'll get the big juggernaut on it at some point.
Yeah, I'll hold you to that one as well. Yeah, if that can happen, that'd be great. If you can get Sam on as well, I mean, and he can have a bit of a debate with Andy about Derby and Forest, that'd be good as well.
Yeah, we get a good argument going. We'll love that.
Yeah, we can referee it, Shane. We can referee it. No, all joking aside, appreciate your time, Shane. Okay, and I'll speak to you soon. Okay, take care.
Take care, man. Take care. See you later.
Cheers.
Bye.